I was staring at my computer screen, trying to finish the quarterly report when my phone unexpectedly rang. Ellie, my 24-year-old youngest sister, spoke with excitement in her voice. "Do you have a minute? I want to talk about something." I pushed aside a stack of papers, my hands still typing. "Yeah, I'm here, what's up?" Ellie continued, her tone full of enthusiasm. "You know Mom's 55th birthday is next month, right? We're planning something really special." I paused, shifting my full attention to the call. "What do you mean?" I asked, curious about what they were preparing. Ellie lowered her voice a bit, as if to create suspense. "We've decided to organize a getaway at Blue Ridge Resort. Everyone agrees Mom deserves a truly memorable trip." Hearing that, I thought the plan sounded great. Our mom had always cared for the family and rarely took time for herself. But Ellie quickly added, "We need everyone to chip in for the costs." "What do you think?" I cautiously asked. "How much are we talking about?" When Ellie named the amount, I nearly dropped my coffee cup. The figure was higher than what I had spent on my last summer vacation 2 years ago. "I know it's a lot," Ellie quickly added as if anticipating my reaction, "but I think it's worth it for Mom." I held the phone, sighed and nodded in agreement. "All right, I'll transfer the money now." Ellie cheered excitedly. "That's great! Oh, one more thing, make sure to keep the whole week free. Don't plan anything else, okay?" I frowned slightly, feeling like everything was moving a bit fast, but I agreed. The following week I was swamped with work and meetings, leaving me little time to think about Ellie's plan. Every time I asked for details, Ellie would just smile and say, "Everything's being taken care of, you don't need to worry." I didn't think much of it, assuming they had everything under control. Time flew by, and Mom's birthday was quickly approaching. On a Saturday evening, our whole family gathered at my parents' house for dinner. The atmosphere was lively, filled with laughter and chatter. While we were eating, Ellie suddenly looked at me, smiled and said, "We've finalized all the plans for Mom's birthday. Next week, we're all going to Blue Ridge Resort." Mom beamed with joy, and Dad had already started talking about the outdoor activities he wanted to try, but when I asked about my role in the plans, things took an unexpected turn. I sat silently in my chair staring at Ellie, hoping my youngest sister would laugh and say this was just a joke, but everyone at the table remained strangely quiet, as if waiting for me to agree. Finally, Ellie broke the tension with a sickly sweet voice. "You know, Mary and Jack, Jessica's kids love spending time with you. And with Mike's 3 kids added in, they'll definitely have a great time being with their amazing Aunt Jillian." I frowned, my voice catching in my throat. "Wait, what do you mean, you want me to watch all 5 kids?" My mom immediately interjected, her tone gentle, as if trying to soothe me. "It's just for 1 week, Jillian. You know your father and I aren't able to keep up with the little ones anymore, and your siblings could really use a break. You're so great with the kids and they love you." Her words felt like a knife piercing my heart. She didn't even ask if I wanted to do it, they had already decided for me. I turned to Ellie, trying to keep my composure. "So, everyone already knows about this? I contributed money, took a week off work, and now you expect me to stay behind and watch 5 kids while everyone else enjoys the vacation?" Jessica stared down at her plate, avoiding eye contact. Ellie, however, tilted her head nonchalantly, as if this was no big deal. "You understand, don't you, Jillian? You don't have a family or kids to worry about. Besides, you don't really enjoy loud places like resorts, so this is the best arrangement for everyone." My heart felt like it was being squeezed. Those words echoed in my head, over and over. You don't have a family or kids to worry about. They had planned everything without asking me, without caring about how I might feel, treating me as nothing more than an easy solution. After all the years I had sacrificed to support this family, this was my reward? I was nothing more than a sidelined figure, someone they thought would always agree, no matter how unfair the situation. I stood up, my voice shaking but filled with determination. "If that's what you've decided, then I won't stay. I've already given too much of my time and money to this family, but I won't do it without even a shred of respect. I wanted to be part of Mom's vacation, but if that's not possible, then I'm not your babysitter either." I turned and walked away, leaving their stunned faces behind. My heart ached, but I knew this was the first time I had ever put myself above them. I spent the entire night tossing and turning, thinking about what Ellie and Mom had said. The feeling of being undervalued, of being seen as just a convenient solution, left me both angry and hurt. The next morning, after calming down, I decided to try a different approach. One that was reasonable and fair. I picked up the phone and called Mom. She answered on the third ring, her tone sounding as though she already knew what I was about to say. "Jillian, I know you'll understand. You've always been the most considerate one in the family." I tried to keep my voice steady. "Mom, I've thought this through carefully. I want to suggest a solution. I'll hire a professional nanny to take care of the kids for the week. This person will be experienced, fully vetted, and I'll cover all the costs. That way, I can also join the vacation without anyone having to worry." There was a brief silence on the other end before Mom's voice returned, suddenly cold. "No, Jillian, I can't trust a stranger with my grandchildren. The kids need someone they're familiar with, and you're the best person for the job. This idea of yours is completely irresponsible." I felt like a bucket of cold water had been thrown over me. "Irresponsible?" I repeated, trying to keep calm. "I'm trying to find a solution that works for everyone, including me. Why is it such a problem for me to want to be part of your celebration?" Mom let out a heavy sigh, as though she were dealing with a child who just didn't understand. "Jillian, you know the family needs you. Ellie and Jessica have their own responsibilities, they have kids and families to take care of. But you only have yourself. And the kids adore you. This isn't a big deal. Just 1 week." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed with another call. It was Ellie. Reluctantly, I switched over, but before I could say a word, her sharp voice cut through. "What are you doing? Mom just told me about the nanny idea. Are you trying to ruin everything? When did you become so selfish?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Ellie, I'm just trying to find a way for me to also enjoy the vacation. I've already contributed money, taken time off work, and now I just want to spend time with the family, like everyone else. What's so wrong about that?" "Don't you get it?" Ellie snapped. "We've planned everything already. We need you to watch the kids. This is the best solution for everyone. You always make things harder." Her words cut deep, like knives. "Harder?" I repeated, my voice trembling slightly. "Ellie, you and Jessica planned this without ever consulting me. You decided my role for me, and now you're calling me selfish?" Ellie lowered her voice but kept her accusatory tone. "We just thought you understood how important family is. If you keep acting like this, don't expect forgiveness from anyone." I put the phone down, my hands shaking. I had always given my all for them. But now, I was the one being labeled selfish. Tears streamed down my face, not from sadness, but from anger. For the first time in my life, I realized I could no longer bear this unfairness. After days of enduring criticism and manipulation from my family, I realized I couldn't keep going like this. The feeling of being exploited and disregarded had become too clear, and I knew that if I gave in this time, they would never change how they treated me. I decided to do something I never thought I could. Put myself first. That evening, I opened my laptop and started searching for a place far away, somewhere I could escape the pressure my family had been putting on me. After some time, I stopped on a small beach resort in Florida. The images of white sandy beaches, swaying palm trees, and gentle waves lapping at the shore brought me a sense of peace I hadn't felt in years. Without hesitation, I booked a coach flight and a hotel room with a balcony overlooking the ocean. I didn't need a luxurious vacation, just a place where I could breathe and rediscover myself. The next morning, I packed my bags, bringing light clothing and my favorite book. Things I never had the time to enjoy while constantly fulfilling my family's endless demands. I didn't tell anyone, didn't explain, and didn't try to justify my decision. My phone kept buzzing with calls from Mom, Ellie, and even extended family members, but I ignored them. By now, I knew I didn't owe them any answers. When the plane landed in Florida, a wave of relief washed over me. Free from the criticism and expectations, I stepped out of the airport and took a deep breath of the salty sea air. The peaceful scenery and warm sunlight felt like a balm for my soul. The hotel was small but cozy, with a balcony offering a perfect view of the ocean. I spent my first afternoon sitting there, watching the sun paint the horizon in shades of red. Finally feeling free, for the first time in years. In the days that followed, I cherished every little moment I had previously denied myself. I walked along the beach, letting the warm sand slip between my toes. I spent hours at a small roadside cafe, reading my book and savoring every sip of coffee without rushing. I even signed up for a beach yoga session, something I had always thought I didn't have time. On my last evening in Florida, I sat on the balcony with a glass of wine, gazing at the sparkling stars overhead. I no longer felt guilty or worried about what my family might think. I realized that this was the life I had been missing, a life where I had the right to choose what made me happy. And this time I was certain. I would never go back to being anyone's convenient solution again. Diana added, "And your past." While I was enjoying my peaceful days in Florida, my phone kept buzzing with messages and calls from my family. At first I ignored them, but curiosity eventually got the better of me. The first messages were from Ellie. "Jillian, where are you? We're standing outside your house with the kids, open the door." Then Jessica chimed in, "Jillian, the kids are asking for you. You can't just disappear like this." I read through the messages, imagining them standing outside my empty house, confused because I wasn't where they assumed I would be. Soon, the tone of the messages shifted to anger. Ellie wrote, "You seriously don't care about the family. How could you abandon the kids like this? You're unbelievably selfish." Jessica joined in. "We trusted you and you've betrayed the family. Mom has been crying all morning because of you." These messages only made me feel lighter. I had always borne the brunt of their unfair expectations. But this time, I didn't feel guilty. Instead, I felt like I was finally doing the right thing. The next day, I received several missed calls from Mom. When I finally answered, her voice was full of anger. "Jillian, what have you done? The kids are confused. Ellie had to stay home with them instead of joining the vacation, and everyone is criticizing you. Don't you feel ashamed?" I took a deep breath, keeping my voice calm. "Mom, I've made it very clear I want to be part of your vacation, not stay behind as a babysitter. If no one respects my decision, that's not my fault." Mom paused, seemingly shocked by my words. Then her voice turned cold. "If you can't understand that family must come first, then you are not the daughter I raised." I stayed silent, not responding. Her words no longer had the power to hurt me as they once did. I knew I had changed. When I returned from my vacation, I still felt the lingering sense of freedom, but as soon as I stepped into my house, there was a loud, relentless knocking at the door. Ellie and Mom stormed in, their faces filled with anger. "You're so selfish, Jillian," Ellie yelled. "We had to take on all the responsibility because of you." Mom added, "The entire family is disappointed in you. You've ruined everything just because you refused to help." I looked at them, feeling an unusual calm. "You've always made decisions for me without asking for my input," I said. "You planned everything and treated me as a resource, not a person. If you're upset because I didn't agree, maybe it's time you reflect on how you've treated me all these years." Both Ellie and Mom fell silent, as though they had no response. For the first time in my life, I no longer felt bound by their expectations. No matter how much they called me selfish or irresponsible, I knew I had done the right thing for myself. I had learned that true family love isn't about unconditional sacrifice, but mutual respect. Something they had never given me. When I returned home from Florida, I knew I couldn't avoid facing my family, and as I had expected, they didn't take long to show up. Just a few hours after I arrived, there was a loud, relentless knocking at the door. I opened it to find Mom, Ellie, and Jessica standing there, their faces filled with anger. Before I could say anything, Ellie stormed in, pointing a finger at me. "Jillian, what is wrong with you? Do you have any idea how much we've had to deal with because of you? You're so selfish." I closed the door, took a deep breath, and tried to stay calm. "Ellie, I'm not selfish," I replied, my voice steady but firm. I'm simply refusing to let myself be taken advantage of anymore. Jessica, who rarely showed much emotion, couldn't hide her frustration either. Taken advantage of? Jillian, you're the one who ruined Mom's vacation. You let the kids down, you let the whole family down, don't you feel ashamed? I felt my chest tighten with anger, but instead of letting it consume me, I kept my tone measured. Jessica, I didn't ruin the vacation. You all ruined it when you decided not to respect my opinions or my wishes. You assumed I would take care of the kids, use my money, and give up my time without even asking. Did anyone ever think about how I might feel? Mom cut in, her voice cold and sharp. Jillian, I can't believe you would behave this way. Family comes first, but it seems you've forgotten that. I raised you to think about others, but right now, I'm so disappointed in you. I looked at Mom, feeling my heart break, but for the first time, I didn't let guilt take over. Mom, I've spent my entire life thinking about others, sacrificing for this family. But that doesn't mean I don't have the right to think about myself. I've always done everything everyone asked of me, but no one has ever asked what I wanted. This isn't about family. It's about respect. Something you and everyone else have never given me. Ellie shook her head, her voice growing sharper. You're acting like we don't appreciate you, but this is family. You're supposed to help. This isn't about respect, it's about responsibility. I let out a soft laugh, not of satisfaction but of liberation. Ellie, helping is a choice, not a responsibility. And if this family truly valued me, you wouldn't force me to do things I don't agree with. The tension in the room grew thicker. But I didn't feel fear or regret. I had said everything I needed to say, and now I knew I had done the right thing. They could keep blaming me, keep being disappointed, but I had found the strength to stand up for myself. For the first time, I felt free. Jessica let out a heavy sigh, folding her arms across her chest, her eyes filled with disappointment as she looked at me. Jillian, don't you see? This is your family. We've always been there for each other, always helped one another, but now you're only thinking about yourself, and that's just selfish. I looked her straight in the eyes, my voice calm but firm. Jessica, you're right. Family is about helping each other. But that has to come from respect and understanding, not from obligation or being taken advantage of. I've helped everyone for so many years, but when I needed understanding, no one listened. This isn't a family that supports each other. This is a family that demands and imposes. In order to threaten the world? Anna told her sister. Ellie jumped in, her voice rising as if she couldn't accept what I was saying. You're acting like we've treated you poorly, but the truth is, you've always been willing to help, and now you're turning your back on everyone over this one small thing. You're just making yourself out to be the victim. Jillian. I frowned, feeling a surge of anger rise in my chest. Ellie, do you have any idea how many times I've sacrificed important things for myself to help everyone else? How many times I've canceled my own plans, given up my time and energy, just to support this family? And now, when I simply want to join this vacation as a normal member of the family, I get criticized and called selfish. Do you think that's fair? My mom stepped forward, placing her hand on the table, trying to regain control of the situation. Jillian, if you feel hurt, I'm sorry, but I still think you've overreacted. All I wanted was for this vacation to go smoothly, and now it's become a mess because of your stubbornness. I shook my head looking at her, and for the first time in my life, her words didn't make me waver. Mom, this vacation became a mess not because of me, but because no one asked for my input from the start. No one respected me or saw me as an equal. I've always tried to fulfill my role, but that doesn't mean I don't have the right to say no when something isn't fair. Ellie and Jessica started to speak again, but I raised my hand to stop them. I'm not going to argue anymore. I've made my feelings and my perspective clear. If you can't accept that, then that's your problem, not mine. The room fell silent, no one knowing what else to say. Mom, Ellie, and Jessica looked at me as if they couldn't recognize the sister and daughter they thought they knew. But I didn't waver. This wasn't just about standing up for myself. It was a declaration that I would no longer be someone they could easily take advantage of. I turned and walked toward the door, leaving them to sit with their own thoughts. This time I had chosen my own path. A path of freedom and self-respect. After the tense confrontation with Mom, Ellie, and Jessica, I realized I no longer had any reason to hold on to a relationship that had always made me feel exploited. For the first time in my life, I decided to cut ties with my family. No explanations, no goodbyes. I left the family group chat, blocked the numbers that constantly sent me accusatory messages, and turned off social media. At first, the silence felt strange, like an unfamiliar void. But gradually I realized it wasn't loneliness. It was freedom. I began spending time exploring hobbies I had neglected for so long. One Saturday morning, instead of being busy in the kitchen preparing meals for the kids, I walked into a small bookstore near my home. I came across a sign that read, "Book Club, 4th Thursday of every month." Without much thought, I signed up. It was a small decision, but it opened a big door in my life. During those book club meetings, I not only got to share my favorite books, but also met new friends. People who didn't demand or expect anything from me. Beyond reading, I started planning trips I had never dared to consider before. I found a short getaway to Charleston, South Carolina, a place known for its historic homes and outdoor markets. I booked the tickets myself, created my own itinerary, and didn't need to ask for anyone's approval or wait for their agreement. That first trip made me realize one important thing: life doesn't have to revolve around pleasing others. Strolling through the cobblestone streets of Charleston in the mornings, I felt a true sense of peace. There were no criticisms, no pressure to meet anyone's expectations. I basked in the warm air, admired the oak trees draped with Spanish moss, and enjoyed a hot cup of coffee by the river. For the first time in years, I felt like my life truly belonged to me. When I returned from the trip, I continued expanding my world. I joined an evening painting class at a local art center, where I could unleash my creativity without fear of judgment. I spent time nurturing my small apartment, transforming it into a space that truly reflected me. A place no longer open to others taking up my time and energy. Gradually, I felt myself becoming a new person. I no longer felt guilty about saying no or afraid to set boundaries. My family could continue calling me selfish, but I knew the truth. What I was doing wasn't selfish. It was self-respect, self-love, and choosing to live the life I deserved. As time passed, I gradually realized a simple yet powerful truth. Self-respect is not selfish. I used to confuse sacrificing for my family with abandoning myself. I thought love had to be expressed through submission and compliance. But now I understand that true love must begin with respecting myself. Living life on my own terms made the difference clear. Without being bound by unfair expectations, I felt more energized than ever. I no longer felt exhausted or resentful from doing things I didn't want to do. Instead, I spent my time nurturing my soul, reading my favorite books, exploring new places, and engaging in activities that brought me joy. Of course, my family didn't stop criticizing me. My mom continued leaving long, guilt-filled voicemails, Ellie kept posting sarcastic remarks on social media, and Jessica occasionally sent cold, pointed emails. But instead of feeling hurt or angry, I simply deleted them quietly. Their words no longer held the power they once did. I had learned how to protect myself. Not by confronting them or trying to make them understand, but by letting go of things that no longer aligned with my life. I don't know if my family will ever understand my decision, but that doesn't matter anymore. I've chosen my own path, the path that leads to peace and freedom. And I will never look back. The lesson from this story is the importance of setting boundaries and respecting yourself. In life, sacrifice and helping others are valuable, but they shouldn't come from obligation or exploitation. Saying no when necessary is not selfish, it's a way to protect your balance and personal happiness. We need to learn to prioritize ourselves, listen to our feelings, and let go of relationships that lack mutual respect. Self-respect is the foundation for building a peaceful and meaningful life. Share your thoughts on this story. Have you ever faced similar situations? Don't forget to follow the channel for more meaningful stories about family, life, and valuable lessons. Let's spread positivity together.